I've talked about many times how I think the membership site is pretty much the best business model for a blog-based business. But it's more than just a business model. It's really more about the platform for selling things, okay? Because whether you are selling coaching, individual courses, any form of protected content whatsoever, whether you're doing it based on subscription plans or whether it's just one-time purchases, you can do all of it through a membership site, and you can run all of it very well on top of WordPress. Now, I made some people quite curious lately when I said that I have left the platform that I have been using for the last 5 years or so, which is called MemberMouse, and switching to something else. And I didn't really tell anybody what it was. I left a lot of people hanging. They were really curious. And so in this video, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to first give you the bird's eye view of membership site setup, the different pieces that go into it. It's kind of a matter of 4 different layers and then how they talk to one another. I'm going to be talking about 2 majorly different approaches to content production, okay? And I switched from one to the other. Now, the other one, the new one, is not quite as common as the first one, but it's really important that you understand the difference and how they work. Now, and the other thing I'm going to also do is I'm going to finally reveal the software stack that I am using internally in my business to power my membership and make the entire thing function really well. Now, before we head into this, I just want to let you know that this is a longer video than what I typically will publish out in the public like this. This is more like a full training setup. It's almost like a full webinar. We'll see how long it actually ends up being. You can probably see a timeline below me on how long this is going to be, but this is because it's a full training piece. We're going to cover a lot. But if you are interested in building a membership site, if you are interested in driving revenue and turning your blog from something that just kind of builds lists and throws out PDFs and everything's about content and it just seems like it's kind of loose and a little messy on the technical side, if you want to turn that into something that is very seamless, that treats people as individuals, where you can greet people by name, you can be very personalized and everything works, and yes, your membership site functions really well, then stay tuned. This video will be worth your time. Okay, first of all, when I say that the membership site is the best business model, I'm talking more about the platform itself, because if you are selling anything digital, courses, ebooks, any type of information type stuff, even services, coaching, things like that, the membership site platform is a great way to do it, okay? Pretty much for any type of business outside of e-commerce and where you're selling physical things, I really think that a membership site platform is the best way, okay? Because you can process orders, you can sell anything that you want on there. You can give them a delivery mechanism where they log in order to get access to whatever it is they just purchased, and it can all be done right there on your main place of business, which is your website. So it's a really, really great way to go. However, there's a lot of different choices and a lot of different ways to go, and that's what I want to talk about here. If we could boil this whole thing down to 4 basic components, they would be your blog, which is the public part of your website. Then you've got the actual membership site itself, which is where your protected content goes and whatever plumbing has to be involved with the actual content protection. You've got the sales system, which is where the orders get processed. That's usually going to go out to a credit card processor, to PayPal, and then there's the matter of account management there. And then you got the email list itself, or your CRM, which is customer relationship manager. Now, these are the 4 different components, and obviously they need to talk to one another, okay? Now, in some setups, the blog and the membership site are 2 different components. This is the way that mine works, actually, where the blog is a public-facing site, and it's only public content, and then it refers people over to the membership site. So the membership site is a separate WordPress installation. It's where all the protected content goes and all the various plumbing that goes along with protecting that content. And then, of course, you've got the sales system, which helps control access to that, and the email list, or CRM. Now, in some cases, the blog and the membership are basically one and the same. It's all on the exact same website. You've got some public content, you've got some private content, but once again, you still got the underlying sales system that controls access to the paid content, and then you're sending people to the CRM. So you got this two-way integration between your sales system and the membership site. Okay, your membership site's going to send people off. Now, there's two different ways of going with this, but the sales system is how we are processing their orders. It integrates with Stripe. It could integrate with PayPal. You could be using some kind of a third-party processor like ThriveCart or ClickBank or SendOwl, whatever it is that you might be wanting to use. But you can control that sales with the sales system. And then it's a matter of whether it integrates with your membership site software. And so one of the major things that you're always looking for is, does this system like SendOwl or whatever, does it integrate with Wishlist Member? Does it integrate with MemberMouse, whatever membership plugin you might be using? And it's usually a two-way interaction there. Then, of course, that sales system needs to send people off into your email list. So that's always another integration that you're looking for. And I've only got one arrow there in that particular case, because typically what most of these people do is they'll feed your member into your email list, and then that's sort of it. Okay, it's a one-way street. We'll be talking about that more in a minute. Now, on some sites and a lot of membership plugins, the membership and the sales system are basically one and the same. And that is because the membership site plugin basically allows you to do the buy buttons. It integrates with PayPal and Stripe and these various payment processors directly. I was using MemberMouse for a long time, and that's the way it works. It basically is the sales system, and it integrates with the payment processors directly. And a lot of them work that way, and so you basically process orders right there on your website. The membership and the sales are one and the same, and then of course you've got that one-way sync to send people into your email list. Okay, and so you got a basic user flow where the person will go into the sales system, they're going to buy the thing, okay, and then the sales system says, yep, this person is a member. It goes up to the membership site level, and it will create the member account and say, yep, that person has access to that content, and then simultaneously it will send people into your email list so that you know that they are a member. That is the basic setup of how this stuff works. Okay, so with all that said, there are actually two major approaches here that a lot of people go with plan A, so to speak. However, plan B, I feel, is a little bit of a newer way that I'm seeing more sites go to, and it's the way that I went, okay? Plan A is what everybody else is used to. Let me describe what these two different approaches are. Okay, if we simplify this and let's just take the blog out, let's just say we got protected content here. The main job of the membership site plugin, whatever we're picking, is to determine whether the person can access that content or not. That's its basic job, okay? And then we've got that one-way flow to send those people into our email list when they buy something. So that's what the membership site plugin is doing. Sometimes your third-party system that's processing orders will send people into the CRM, but in a lot of cases, it's your membership site plugin actually doing that. Now, plan A, as I'm just kind of nicknaming it here, basically works like this, where you got the membership site plugin, and then inside that membership site setup, you've got different member levels. Very typically, you might call them silver, gold, or platinum. You can call these things anything that you want, but that's how you're actually controlling access to the protected content, is determining what member level they are. And then, of course, when you're actually assigning protection to content on your site, you determine what member levels are allowed to access it. Okay? Now, this can get more developed over time, because what most membership site plugins will do is that you can create as many different member levels as you want. Some do it a little bit differently, as in like MemberMouse. MemberMouse has membership levels, but it also has what's called bundles. Either way, you've got a whole lot of different access levels to things, okay? And the reason that you might end up with a long list of levels like this is, let's say that you're not only selling a membership subscription. Maybe you're selling access to individual courses or individual things, or maybe they purchased a coaching package from you and you want to give them access to one particular page. The way that you're going to control access to that stuff is through member levels. And so it's very typical that you're going to have a big, long list of different member levels to protect different things across your website. All of it, once again, syncing up to your CRM and controlling access to that protected content. But it can start to get a little bit complicated because as you build up these different member levels, they all need to sync into your CRM a little bit differently, because you're going to want to say, well, that person, has access to one product, another person has access to another product. You want to send all that stuff into your CRM so you can, send them a welcome message and talk to them about that particular thing. But it's all a one-way sync. Okay. It's like when they buy that level, they get sent into the CRM. And then of course you've got that sales system sitting out there that's actually processing these orders, selling these things, and that sales system is saying, okay, when they buy that, send them into a particular member level, and then you also send them into your email list and tag them or whatever a particular way. This is the typical setup, okay? Now, it could be that your membership site plugin and your sales system are the same, but either way, you're going to be adding people into various member levels, and then you're going to be telling your email list that that person is in that member level, and that's the way it works. Everything is done through different membership tiers. Okay, now let's talk about Plan B. Plan B is a very different way of doing it, where instead of the membership site plugin doing all the heavy lifting and having all these different member levels in there, and then just simply reporting back to your CRM that that's what's going on, in this approach, the CRM, your email list, becomes the governing mechanism. Whoops. It's what basically controls everything. And all the membership site plugin is doing is looking at what's in your CRM and then controlling access to the content. Let me show you. All right, coming back to our trusty chart. In this case, all we've done is we've taken the membership site plugin. We made it a little bit smaller because in this situation, it's doing definitely an important job. However, it's now the email list. It's our CRM, which is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting here. And here's how that actually works. When you go into a CRM, you're going to have a subscriber. And you probably have seen before how you can add different tags to your subscriber based on various things, okay? Most email systems now have a concept of being able to add tags to a subscriber, okay? And so things that you could do would be to tag them as a member. Or if they buy a particular course, you can just add a tag to their profile saying, okay, they have that course A or they have course D. If you're utilizing tags to segment your list in terms of various email marketing things, you can be doing things like flagging them or tagging them if they're interested in a particular topic. And so in my case, if somebody comes and they opt into my lead magnet on getting the free membership site planning worksheet, I can tag them as being interested in the topic of membership sites. And so over time, you're going to have a subscriber with a name and an email address and whatever else you know about them. And you're also going to have various tags assigned to their profile, okay? Now, what we're doing in this situation is that we're using these tags to control access to our content. The membership site plugin works very differently. We are not looking at whether they're in a particular membership level or not, which is all interior to the membership site plugin. We're now just saying, does this person have the right tags in order to access that content? And so what we're doing is when we're setting up protected content on our site, we're just saying, assigning what tag or tags is allowed to access it, okay? And so we have this two-way interaction between our email list and our membership site setup in this case, because they're talking to each other constantly. When something changes in the email list CRM, it's going to control what happens on the website. So if they buy something, we are just going to basically tell our sales system, we're going to say, tag them as a customer, tag them as member level A. If they buy a course, tag them as saying, yep, they bought that particular course. It's a really simple setup here because when they buy, all we're just doing is putting them on our list and then tagging them a particular way. And then our membership site setup does the rest of it, okay? Because if they have the right tag, they can access what they want. If they don't have the right tag, our site will react differently. So in this case, our CRM literally becomes the central database for the entire site, and it's controlling what people see and what people do on the website. It's no longer just about emails that they're going to get from you. Okay, so those are the two different approaches. One is based on member levels, and it's all interior to the membership site plugin, and then we're just sort of syncing out in a one-way fashion to our email list. Plan B is where your email list becomes the central managing database. We can tag people in different ways, and then our membership system is basically just a layer that looks at what tags they have and then controls access to the content. Okay, now Plan A is what most systems that we have been looking at use. Wish list member, member mouse, member press, name it. Most likely that's the way that it works because that is pretty traditional. There's a few problems that go along with that over time. First of all, I mentioned how you can get into having a big, long list of member levels. So over time, and depending on how many different things that you sell, that can get a little bit overwhelming. The other thing is that you can actually, because the synchronization with your email list is a one-way street, sometimes you can actually get things where they're a little bit out of sync. And that's because the only time that it's sending data into your email list setup is at the point of purchase. And then after that, they're just sort of there. Now, if they cancel or something, you can move them and you could do various things. But unless you're really good and unless you've got a simple business, there's a decent chance that you can end up with a little bit of a synchronization issue. And what can happen is people start getting emails for things that might not apply to them. If you're really, really good with your automation, you can avoid it. But, I've been in this business a long time and people were getting emails they didn't need. And it's because it's easy to overlook things. The new method, and I'm not going to say this is new. This has been around. Plan B has been around for a little while, but it tends to be the more advanced membership sites that do this. But it doesn't need to be that way. It's a different way to do it. However, in order to really see the real power behind the second approach, the tag-based approach to your membership site, you need to have a real marketing automation platform. And what I mean by that is ConvertKit, Aweber, even MailChimp to a degree, they can assign tags, okay? That's getting to be a pretty common thing. What is not as common is to be able to set up workflows and automations that trigger based on a certain set of rules and then can do all kinds of really cool ninja things behind the scenes. Only one of which might be to add the right tag to the profile, but you can be doing a whole lot of other things and utilizing this stuff in a really cool way. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so in my case, I use Drip as my CRM, okay? It's a full marketing automation platform. And so a lot of what happens behind the scenes now with my setup is based on the idea of these visual workflows like this, okay? So you can set up rules and you can set up workflows. Now, I don't have a trigger. Most workflows would have a trigger, which is basically what automatically starts this workflow. But that's because I use my shopping cart or my list building tool, both of which I'll go into in just a minute, in order to trigger these things. And so basically in this case, this is for free member registration. I used to have to do this whole PHP script. It was really complicated in order to try to create free members inside of MemberMouse. Now it's all tied to the CRM. It's super easy peasy. And my email list building tool basically just sends people into this workflow. And so it's really simple how this works. First, are they already tagged as an active member? In other words, are they a lab member already? If they are, and that means they're trying to sign up for a free membership even though they're already a lab member, well, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I just say yes. I send them a link to the download they just tried to get and exit. Okay. If they're already onboarded, meaning they've already signed up for a free membership, but they've already gone through a welcome sequence, they're already set up with me, well, I don't need to go through the whole rigmarole again, so I just send them a link to their download and exit, okay? If we head on down here. We're going to send their data into my WordPress site. That's what actually creates the profile for them. It's all automatic. I'm applying them as a free registration member. I'm sending them an important email so they know where to go. Assigning different tags. I can email or send them to a Facebook custom audience. Have they already received my welcome sequence or not? If yes, I do nothing and leave. If they haven't, I obviously assign them to my welcome sequence. But you can see how this works. It's very visual, and I can do conditional stuff in there based on what I know about them because it's all tied into the profile. If we head over to, this is my workflow for if somebody joins a lab membership. Once again, my shopping cart system would send them into this, but then we apply the member active tag. This is what gives people access to lab membership content inside the lab. I can set their join date so I know what it is, and then I can say if they're an annual member, I can set the next renewal date, okay? If they previously had canceled and they're tagged as an inactive member, well, now we remove that, take out the onboarding, right on down the line. We take care of a few logistics here. We wait about a minute. I send them the onboarding campaign. I add them to a Facebook custom audience for lab members. It's pretty cool what you can do. Now, just to give you an idea how these things work, any of these you can add different things. You can set delays, you can do decisions, you can do marketing goals. Under actions, you can do things like apply different tags, remove tags, record a custom event, add them or remove them from various marketing campaigns. All this is done in a very visual way, but it's all done in your CRM. And this beats the snot off of what you can do with the more traditional style membership plugins, that all they do is send people into your list and then grant access. That's all they do. Trying to do all this conditional stuff like this would be much more complicated, okay? If we go over to the cancellation process, if anybody cancels their lab membership, well, we can do different things. Like, are they a monthly member? We do various different things. We send them a cancellation notice, of course. If they're an annual member, well, we can do things a little bit differently. We apply the correct tags. I've got another rule in here that will basically punt, so that if they're an annual member, but they cancel and they still got 6 months left, we're not going to remove their access until the renewal date would have been. And so we take care of all that. We, of course, send them a cancellation notice. If they're on a trial, we can do another series of things, but it's all automated. I've got some more stuff to do in here in order to improve it, because this is built within the last week. But this is how things work now behind the scenes inside the CRM. So that's a little bit of the plumbing behind the scenes. Now, the thing is, obviously, a CRM, drip, active campaign, whatever you might be using, it cannot control access on your website. And so you need additional pieces. And also, you don't process orders through this thing. So you need additional pieces. And so this is where we get into the marketing stack that I am using. And so what I want to say here is that I'm going to tell you the different tools that I am using that now are running my business as a major replacement for MemberMouse and even for Thrive Leads. I'm going to mention this in a minute. But I'm not saying that you should go off and use the exact same tools, okay? There are different ways to go. If you're on a membership plugin that does operate based on Plan A, that's okay. They still work really well. It's just a different way of doing it. I decided to move over to Plan B because I like being able to use the CRM for everything, okay? Now, but you need to have additional pieces on there, and let's make that clear. The other thing, too, is in my case, my blog is public, and then I've got the membership site, and they're two different things, okay? Now, the other thing is that we know that the public version, the public site, its primary purpose is to get people into the funnel, get people onto the email list. Now, once somebody's on my email list, they're in my CRM, okay? I know certain things about them. So that means that even when they're on the free version of the website, I'm working with the exact same database, okay? So that means that the two sites, even though they're completely separated, can work in conjunction with one another from a marketing perspective. And so I've got the point of entry, which is the email list building tool that I use, and I can tag people a certain way and do certain things based on that will then affect them when they get into the lab. The other thing is that the lab now works where the lead magnets are no longer just simply sent to them. It's now all inside the membership site as a free member level. So basically, the moment that you join my email list, you now have a profile inside the lab. Now, it doesn't make you a full lab member. It just means you've got access to the lab and a certain set of limited resources, and some of them are the various lead magnets that we offer here on the site. But the big thing to keep in mind, and this is one of the main benefits of this type of platform, is that your list building situation, whatever you might be doing, and what happens as a customer are now linked all together. And one thing can control the other because everything works in a two-way street, which is great. Now, let's get into the actual tools that I'm using and how this all functions. All right, the first piece, and this is in the public side of the website, is ConvertBox. Now, I have been using Thrive Leads for a long time to build my list, and then I switched to ConvertBox, and I am now running everything through ConvertBox. And in fact, I'm actually going to start using ConvertBox even inside the membership site as well, because it's got some serious uses there. Now, so it can do a lot of really cool things, A/B split testing, blah, 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 but I'm going to show you make note of this. Hey, first name, you can actually address people by name, okay? You could pull this right out of your CRM, so you can get really ninja with this stuff. But let's head on into the tool, and I want to show you one of my main forms that actually creates a free account for the Online Business Roadmap itself. So it's a very simple setup. You could do anything that you want on here. But if we actually look at our form actions on this, I am now sending people into a particular script, which actually, this is not even a script anymore. I used to be with MemberMouse. I can redirect them to simply a confirmation page that says, hey, you got a profile now, okay? But behind the scenes, I can add them to a workflow, okay? This creates the free member registration, which I just showed you, and then I can tag them with whatever lead magnet they're coming in, which in this case is the roadmap. If we look at our form behind the scenes, I also use a hidden field, which literally is the name of the lead magnets, because then I can send them emails that actually will be unique to that and actually use the word in there, and it just makes it a lot easier, okay? So that's what I do. But another cool thing I really like about this, let me go to another plugin here real quick. Let's go to the membership site worksheet. Let's pull up this one. Let's go to display. Okay, now you can control where these things show up through different categories, whatever. It has different triggers, different frequency. What I really like about it, and this they just added recently, is the ability to have conditional rules. So the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to see how the public side of the site and the membership, it all works in unison with the CRM. And so this particular opt-in form is only going to show up if they have not already bought the membership site blueprint, if they have not already downloaded the membership site planner, because why show them a form for something they already have, or if they're not a lab member. So I can actually exempt all of my lab members from seeing those opt-in forms. Isn't that great? Now, you can also do things like, or I'm not going to do this, but if they actually had a particular tag, let's say that we knew they were interested in a particular thing, okay? Let's say that they had already purchased, this is a different, just pretend this is a different box, but they have already purchased the membership site blueprint. And instead of it being an opt-in form, I wanted to show them a convert box to maybe upsell them to something else. Okay, so you can see how, being that the CRM drip is the lead database here, they could do something over inside the lab or even on my site, and I can actually send them different calls to action on the website. Okay, if they're a lab member over inside the lab, I can actually send them different calls to action if they're actually on my website, because I know they're a lab member. So I could be sending them different things. I don't have to treat everybody the same. So I hope that you can see the level of personalization there. And this is a major reason why I'm a big fan of ConvertBox, because most list building tools do not have a two-way interaction with your CRM. This is powerful. And so I'm a major fan of ConvertBox. One of the best purchases I ever made actually was ConvertBox. Okay, the next piece of the puzzle is ThriveCart. Now, I've talked about ThriveCart before, and I also mentioned briefly in this video how, if you're using your CRM as as the center of your membership site, well, obviously, you need something to process the orders. Now, you could still be using a membership site plugin that does all that stuff. You could be using a third-party cart. Okay, and in my case, that's what I've decided to do. I already had ThriveCart, and it's extremely powerful. I really do like what ThriveCart can do. I mean, it empowers a lot and actually makes my life easier. And so I'm really glad that I'm now shifting my sales to it. Now, the way that this works in the overall stack for me will be shown if we actually head on into ThriveCart. And I pulled up, this is the setup for the lab, and I'm not going to go through everything here. But the part that's most relevant to the functionality of the membership site is the behavior rules that I set up. And so it integrates with, of course, in my case, drip. All right. And so we've got when they actually purchase it, And if they purchase the monthly membership, then I will add them to my workflow, which is the enrollment workflow, and then I tag them as a monthly member, okay? If they order the annual membership, I do the exact same thing for enrollment, but then I tag them as an annual member, okay? And I already showed you what the enrollment workflow looks like earlier in this video on the different things that it does behind the scenes over inside of Drip. If they purchase the bump purchase, which is a really cool capability of ThriveCart, that you can have a bump, like an upsell in place, but on the checkout page itself. You can actually tell it what to do. When they refund, you could do various things. When they actually get rebuild, you can trigger different things. And so you've got a lot of capability here that in some cases, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to set this stuff up with a traditional membership site plugin. But being that ThriveCart just does a great job and you have a lot of fine-tuned control over what you're triggering, you could do a lot of things. I mean, if we add rules here, and I'll show you, you can set up rules where the bump is purchased, refunded, if they do a cart abandonment, various things that happen to their subscription, if they make a recurring payment, if a recurring payment fails, if they cancel their subscription, dunning, which is basically what happens in the case of credit card expiration and stuff like that. You can even run all that stuff if you want through your CRM in order to send them emails to say, hey, why don't you go update your credit card information? You've got a lot of capability here. Probably won't even be using all of it. I'm certainly not. But this is a major piece of the puzzle in my stack that when they go and they purchase something, it's now all done through ThriveCart, no longer done through MemberMouse. And then I use these things to send that data into the CRM, which of course, I've already showed you how I can now use that same data in my CRM to control the marketing calls to action they see across my entire business. Okay, so that's one piece. ThriveCart, I really, really like ThriveCart. I'm a massive fan. You'll see me talk a little bit more about this platform on this site as time goes on. There is one other major piece of the puzzle here, and that is what is the actual membership plugin itself. Let's go there now. Okay, the piece that glues it all together is called WP Fusion, okay? Now, here's the thing I want to be really clear about is that WP Fusion is not technically a membership site plugin. In other words, it does not do member levels. It does not manage accounts for you. And so there's different ways to go with WP Fusion. WP Fusion is a tool that you could utilize in order to control access to content, and I will show you that in a minute. However, you might also want the additional capability of a membership site plugin in the more traditional sense. And in there, we might be talking about wishlist member, MemberPress, whatever. WP Fusion, essentially what it does is it takes your CRM and it integrates it in with WordPress, but in a much tighter fashion than you will see in pretty much any other solution, okay? And in fact, it connects WordPress to pretty much anything, okay? That's the headline. That's what it does. But it allows you to basically connect whatever tools that you might be using all together with WordPress so that your WordPress site is going to sit there and react pretty much in real time based on what is taking place in other tools. It could be other WordPress plugins. It could be in your CRM, any third-party tool. It works with all these things, Aweber, MailChimp, and of course Drip. Now, these are the big four. That's why they're up here at the top of this graphic, but it works best with ActiveCampaign, Ontraport, Drip, and Infusionsoft. And that's only because these are full marketing automation platforms in the style that I just showed you. Now, it can work with all these other ones because they can do tags and stuff like that. However, you might not have all the same capability in terms of automated workflows. ConvertKit, I know, is really popular with many in my audience, and it works with ConvertKit really well because you can do tags and can also, ConvertKit does have automations. It's just that the abilities that you have in those automations are not going to be as developed as one of these big four. And also, I know that I've got a lot of people in my audience that use Aweber. Well, WP Fusion will work with that because Aweber does allow tags on profiles, but it's not nearly as mature as even ConvertKit, and it's definitely not as mature as these big four here. And so it works really well. This is the best type of setup if you're using a full marketing automation platform. Now, let me go into the lab itself just to show you how this actually works, okay? WP Fusion, this is my list of courses here inside the lab. And let me just pull up this one here, which is WordPress Basic Training, and I'll show you how protections work. I'm using WP Fusion without an additional membership site plugin. And if we go over here, this is why. This panel here allows you to control access to content based on tags. And so in this case, if they're a lab member, well, they're tagged as member active, okay? And that means that I'm requiring that in order to see this particular course, they have to have that tag on their profile, all right? You can do other different things too, like say, they have to have all tags. If they need to specifically not have a particular tag, I can do different redirects. So if they don't have access to this, I can either show them a stock error message, or I can redirect them to a customized page. I can also do cool things where even by them just simply looking at this page, I can either add tags or remove tags. This can become very handy if you want to do follow-up marketing, by the way. If they hit a landing page, but they're already in your CRM, you could tag them as having looked at that landing page, and then you could follow up and send them an automatic email that says, hey, here's a coupon code for that particular thing you were just looking at. Maybe you want to go ahead and purchase it now. There's a lot of capability here with just this simple panel being able to control everything with tags. Now, WP Fusion gets a lot deeper than that. I won't go into all that it can do. It's got a settings panel where you can sync it with everything. Let me pull that up real fast. Here it is. So it's got all these different things as far as automatic login. So when somebody comes in from ThriveCart, I send them to a special URL that tells WP Fusion to create their profile for them and tag them the way that I say, and boom, they've got themselves a member profile that easily. But you got a lot of different settings that you could go through here. We also can sync all of our data with our CRM, so they could be doing things on our website and it will push data up to the CRM. Likewise, you can do things on the CRM and push data back to WordPress. So it's a full two-way flow, just like I was showing you on those fancy charts earlier in this video. But in this screen, we're basically mapping different things, different fields inside of WordPress to fields in the CRM. So it's all a nice, beautiful synchronization. You will never, ever lose track of anything, okay? And it integrates with a whole bunch of different things. It's really, really, really powerful what WP Fusion is capable of. Okay, so that's pretty much the technology stack that now runs my membership site. Okay, let's review what they are. First of all, we've got WP Fusion, okay, which is technically not a membership plugin, but that is what I'm using here. Now I want to make, let's just go. So WP Fusion, ThriveCart for processing all the orders and doing all the e-commerce stuff. And so, and then we've got ConvertBox, which controls the marketing across both sites really, because I'm running ConvertBox both inside the lab as well as the public side. So, and then the glue that holds it all together is Drip, okay? And because everything is reporting back to Drip, and Drip is the primary database for everything, it now could control both what happens inside the lab as well as the marketing. And so you can see that we've now got a full funnel cohesion behind everything, behind the public content, the membership content, and what they buy, and everything that I can send them. It's all personalized. It's all unique to each individual through Drip, and I can keep everything in alignment. And it's a really beautiful thing, actually. Now, I've got some more work to do in order to perfect this entire system, but that is what I have switched to. I switched away from MemberMouse in order to go this direction, okay? So once again, ThriveCart, Drip, ConvertBox, and WP Fusion. Now, I want to make a case for those of you guys who may not want the exact same set of tools, okay? So if you don't want to use WP Fusion, there are some other plugins that can work in a tag-based fashion, but they're more developed. Like Access Ally is one that can do it. If you're using ActiveCampaign as your CRM, ActiveMember 360 is a very popular solution. If you're using Infusionsoft, there's one called Memberium, which is very popular. And so there are other options, but there's certainly a lot more options out there for WordPress that do things the more traditional way, which is using member levels to control access. And so one point that I want to make to you is that if you want to use something like WP Fusion anyway, but you still want to be able to manage member accounts inside of WordPress, you could still use a membership site plugin, okay? And what you do is you just use it as the membership control, so to speak, but not use it for protection. So let's say that you had wishlist member in the system and you were processing orders that way and doing things the traditional way, and that's fine. You'll be able to manage all of your members inside of wishlist if you wanted to, but you could still utilize WP Fusion to control access to things based on tags rather than member levels, okay? It's just that you can still make this stuff all work together. Likewise, if you don't want to use ThriveCart because you think it's too expensive to purchase for you, that's fine. There's other ways to go. Pretty much as long as whatever option that you pick has the ability to send data into your CRM and tag them in a particular way, you could still use the same thing. You don't have to use ThriveCart at all. You could use SendOwl or whatever other system you might prefer to use. And then once they're on your site, you can control access through your regular membership plugin if you want, or if you want to go the WP Fusion or a tag-based route, you just do that and it will open it up. And it doesn't matter how you're organizing your content, whether you've got a custom theme, whether you're using WP Courseware or LearnDash or Thrive Apprentice, it doesn't matter. That's just the way of organizing your content. It's a matter of how you're controlling access that's really the thing. And if you're using one of those LMS systems like LearnDash to organize all your courses, well, guess what? WP Fusion works with that too, okay? So it's a really cool platform, but those are what I'm using. The big four: Drip, ThriveCart, ConvertBox for the marketing stuff primarily, and WP Fusion, which is the glue that holds it all together and now controls the lab itself. Now, one point I also want to make is that I no longer manage my members inside of WordPress. The member profiles are not in there. It's inside of Drip. And so when we're managing people's profiles, we do it inside of Drip. And then if we add a tag or remove a tag or whatever, it just gets synced back to WordPress, and then pretty much instantaneously, the moment they log into the lab, it's going to reflect whatever I just did inside a Drip. It's really cool how it all works in cohesion. And the way I'll end this off is just this. I've always said that I think that a blog is one of the most powerful marketing mediums that exist, okay? However, what really can make it truly powerful in a full end-to-end system is when you combine it with tools like what I've just told you that allow you to treat each person that comes to your site and each subscriber individually. We don't have to treat them as a big collective. We can treat them individually, and we can do that through the use of technology. And if you're using a CRM where we can record things that we know about them based on things they've told us by opting into lead magnets or buying certain things, and we can control all the marketing across our site with a tool like ConvertBox, we can control their access to everything and with a tool like WP Fusion, it all works together beautifully, and that's how the business can really function well, not only in terms of driving sales, but making a full beginning to end setup where the moment they get to the site, the very calls to action that they see are going to be customized around what we now know about them. It's a much more mature, much more advanced way to do your online marketing and your content marketing, but it doesn't have to be advanced in terms of geekiness. You just need to use the right tools that allow you to do it, and then there's no longer any programming involved, and that makes it a beautiful thing. Okay, that wraps us up. This was definitely a much longer video than I usually do out in the open, but there was a lot to cover here because membership sites are a really popular thing, and I know that I had several different emails from people off my last blog post who were like, okay, what are you using now? Hopefully this answers it and also explains why with the two different approaches. And it's something that you should take into account when you structure your membership site as well. Now, coming up, I'm going to be going into some more details, both here inside the on the public side of the website, on some of the different aspects of some of the software and other options as well, because I don't want to force anybody to use the exact same 4 tools that I use. And then over inside the lab, I'm going to be also injecting some additional training on this type of setup for a membership site. I have a big update plan for the membership site blueprint, specifically on the technology side of it, to accommodate for a lot of this stuff, because it's in the past, it was very focused on member mouse. I have some things I want to add about for wishlist member. I can't possibly cover every little platform, but I definitely do want to cover these two different approaches because they're very, very important which way you decide to go. I will be honest, it was a difficult thing for me to move away from member mouse and switch to this new setup. It took me a while. And so it's one of those things that where if you're going to set this up and if you're really future casting your business, it's good to make this decision as early as possible. You can definitely shift gears later. It just might be a little bit more complicated. Okay. And so, hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully this gave you a little behind the scenes to talk shop here about membership sites and the tools that go into creating a full blog-based business that not only can help generate leads really, really well, but also treat them individually when they get into the back end and become a customer. This is a full beginning to end thing, and it's really, really powerful how we can now use technology to become more human through our own websites. All right, I'll talk to you later.